We are making some beautiful beef jerky. This was a London broil that I cut up into nice chunks, put some wonderful seasoning on it, and we've got some fantastic beef jerky. Watch how we do it. So today we're going to get started and make some beef jerky. I'm going to start out with a London broil, and this is a pretty lean cut of meat. One thing that's really important when you make beef jerky is to make sure you don't have a lot of intermuscular fat, that the cut that you're using is pretty lean, and nobody wants to chew on a big old nasty hunk of fat when they're eating beef jerky. So got a little bit here to trim off, so we're just gonna cut that off real quick. Everything else looks really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into rounds, and that'll allow us to be able to do a really good job. I'm cutting across the grain also, which is gonna make this really tender to eat. If you're cutting with the grain, you're gonna get kind of those long strips that we kind of associate with beef jerky a lot of times. So one thing that you can do as well is when you're making beef jerky, to make it easier to cut, you can put it in the freezer, probably for an hour or so, just to be able to kind of firm that up so it'll be a lot easier to cut. This is cutting really well. I've got a good sharp knife, so I'm just gonna go through and cut these into rounds. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a brine to it. Kind of a marinade. All right, so we've got a little bit of an assortment of different spices and different things to put in. I'm gonna start with some teriyaki. I have just a little bit of this left, so I'm gonna throw in what's left. And now a little Worcestershire sauce. Hey, I think I did pretty good on that. Good squirt of that. I've got some low sodium soy sauce, so we're gonna add a bunch of that into here. The idea is to have something that, based on how much meat that you're going to put in, you want to have enough to be able to cover that and to make a good little bath for it. This is a Bachman's, this is a Bachman's Japanese barbecue sauce. I just love this stuff. Picked it up at Costco, and I think this does a really good job. So, kind of has a teriyaki taste to it, good richness to it. So I'm going to squirt some of that in also. Always got to have a little bit of paprika. So, brand new container. I just picked this up at the dollar store. Onion powder. What do we got? Probably, a big chunk there. That's probably about a teaspoon or so of onion powder. Now we've got garlic powder, the same, about a good healthy teaspoon or so in there. And then I've got a bacon chipotle sea salt, which is really, really nice. So I'm gonna put a bunch of that in here. That'll give it my salt component to it. And now the next thing is some coarse black ground pepper. I'm gonna go pretty liberal on there. And then I'm also going to throw in a little bit of beef broth stock. So this also will add some richness to it as well. So just a beef flavor. This gets a nice little stir to make sure it's all well blended together. So now we're just going to pour this mixture into a plastic bag. This is what's going to go into the refrigerator. and throw all the beef in there. So when this is in the refrigerator, you're going to want to pay attention to this and just kind of roll it around a little bit and just kind of move it around so that way all of that marinade comes into contact with the beef. Make sure it's well sealed. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to let this go for a few hours in the refrigerator, and I'm going to go run a few errands, get a little bit of other stuff done, and we'll just roll it around every once in a while, keep on checking on it, and then we're going to take this off and we're going to throw this on the smoker and we're going to make some great beef jerky. Here's that London broil that's been in the refrigerator. So we're just going to kind of massage this around a little bit, kind of move all the pieces around so that way they all get the marinade on them. Just kind of move them around a little bit and then put them back in the refrigerator and we'll check in on them later. So here's the beef jerky. Pulled it out of the refrigerator. This is actually the next day. So yesterday afternoon and last night and this morning, I massaged this around to make sure that all of that wonderful marinade was fully distributed throughout the entire pieces of those cut up meat. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them on some racks, bring them outside. I've got the Yoder smoker set for 175 degrees, got some hickory pellets in there, and we're going to cook them on up and it'll dehydrate them, and we're going to have some wonderful beef jerky. Wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about different racks. So if you're doing beef jerky, the idea is to lay lots of beef jerky down, and that means that you're using a whole lot of the footprint of the racks inside of your pellet grill. A few different options that you can do. One is I picked these guys up on Amazon, which are racks that you could put down for a second layer, even a third layer, depending on how much space you have inside your smoker. So you could have, in this case, 3 different levels. These are really pretty inexpensive, but really nice because they're easy to clean up. Since they all are removable, you can stack them easily into a cupboard for ongoing storage. I really like those. Here is what I had purchased and used quite a few times. I've used this for fish and for beef jerky. This is a Traeger rack, stainless steel. Really like it. It's super sturdy, but it's really hard to clean since this is all one solid piece. Getting inside of here to get this second level on the top and the bottom is really difficult to do. So not as sold on this anymore. Like the cheap ones that I picked up off of Amazon, they seem to work just much better. So now we're just going to open this up. We're going to remove these wonderful pieces of beef jerky and just start to lay them out here. I'm not sure how many of these I'll be able to get on the rack of my Yoder itself, so I'll probably end up using some of these racks as well. Depending on how much meat you're doing, and you'll figure out kind of what the capacity is of your smoker, and then you can know that for the future on how many pounds, how thin you slice it, all of those have an effect. So making sure that I don't have any overlap, that these are laying completely flat. If you use a really spicy marinade, you may want to rinse these off. I didn't go super spicy on it, so I'm okay with it just as it is. And we're just gonna lay all these out, bring them out to the smoker, put them out there, and then they will dry as they cook as well. You can see a few spots there where the marinade didn't get in full contact with the meat. but I think they're few and far between, and this will still turn out really wonderful. Got some good smoke on this. We are about an hour and 15 minutes in. This is looking really nice. Kind of checking it out here. Still feels a little bit moist, so we're going to give it a little bit more time to dry out, kind of dehydrate. Our temperature is about 180 inside the grill here. I think I might kick that up just a little bit, probably bring it up to around the 200 area and let it go for a little bit more time. There's one more check-in. As you can see, the grill marks down on the bottom. I flipped all these over. The ones that are a little bit thinner are actually getting done. There are some thicker ones that are going to take a little bit more time. We're in about 2.5 hours right now. I did kick the temperature up about a half hour ago from the 170 to about 205. So we are throwing a little bit more heat on there. Good supply of pellets in, and these are looking pretty nice. I think we probably have about another half hour before we'll be pulling these fellas out. Boy, these are looking pretty fantastic. Look at that. That is some good stuff. We'll just pull them all off of here. Want to make sure you pull them off before they get too hard and too tough. You could probably put them back on if you need to add some more heat at the end, if you find you pulled them off a little bit early, but unfortunately if they get too hard and too crusty, not much you can do about it. So we're just going to pull these guys off. I like to put them on these little baker racks, and that allows them to cool down, and then we're going to taste. So these came off the Yoder, and they are fantastic. Make sure that you don't put them on for too long, because if you put them on for too long, they're going to continue to kind of cook out a little bit as they cool down. But now we're going to give this a taste. That is really good. Good spice on there. I can taste the teriyaki and that Japanese barbecue sauce, which has kind of a teriyaki barbecue flavor, really comes through. I really like that. I've got a little bit of pepper on here. I could definitely taste a little bit of heat in here too, but this is just fantastic. I really made sure not to cook these too long because I still want them just a little bit pliable in there. I don't want to have shoe leather, and it's also important to make sure that they sit on the rack for a little while so that they can dry. A little bit of these oils will kind of come off. If you put them in the bag right away, then you're going to have some moisture inside of there as they cool down, and that's going to result in probably more spoilage. So they'll stay a lot longer and a lot better if you just let them cool down and then put them into a bag afterwards. But we've got some nice grill marks on there, got a little bit of variety. I cut these by hand, so they're not all exactly the same. Some of these bigger pieces you may want to tear in half or cut up a little bit, but this is fantastic stuff. And I think they turned out great. I've got a great flavor on them, a great taste. I think the consistency is really good. If you like what I'm doing here, make sure you subscribe and then also turn on the notifications so you'll find out when we're putting out new videos. Usually try to put one out on Monday or Tuesday of each week. And if you have friends that are into barbecue, share this with them. Give me some comments. Always like to see your ideas, your thoughts, and give me a like, a thumbs up. So make sure that you spend some time figuring out what you're going to cook in your backyard this weekend. Hey, thanks for watching.